Good evening, everybody. Good morning, everybody. That's I'm not going live in the morning for a minute or two, but I thought, you know what? I seen some news this morning as we were just waking up, and I thought, yeah, we are going live with that news because I'm debating: can I get drunk at 11 o'clock in the morning? No, I can't because I've got driving to do, and that's irresponsible. But I want to. I want to celebrate this news. And I'm tired of, I'm scared of jumping the gun a little bit too early. I did not want Pochettino at Manchester United. And I don't know if you lot knew that. I'd hidden it quite well, I think, hadn't I? I'd not really mentioned. I'd kept it under wraps, nice and chill. We saw, I nearly called him Phil then. Oh my God. Look, we saw Paul Mitchell at Old Trafford last night, sitting next to Ralph Rangnick. I'm trying to think of how much I can let you in on this. I can't yet. I don't know what's going to happen with Paul, put it that way. No, I can't. I don't know what's going on with Paul, whether he's going to come to United or not. But the fact that he was at the game last night was intriguing and was exciting. And a lot of people drew the connections of, oh, hang on, Paul's worked with Pochettino before. Oh, shit. Does this mean Pochettino's on his way to United? There's a lot of people also, because he's Monaco's sporting director. And I did a video yesterday on Chimeme. I'm like, 1 + 1 = 2, right? Not necessarily. Doesn't always work like that. So I think him sitting there with Ralph definitely opens the possibility of him coming to work for Manchester United. He's from the area. I think he's from Stalybridge, actually, just up the road. And that might be what's going on. It might also be the case that we're talking to him about someone from Monaco. But there was a lot of people who got excited at the possibility that Pochettino looks more likely now with Mitchell even just being there. And no one said this to me, but my gut instinct has kind of always been, I can just see Pochettino being United manager one day. And I don't want it. I can just see it. Because I just think that I can just see it. I can't really fully explain it, but I can just see that would happen at some point. But why have we gone live on this anyway? What's the news, Steve? Well, I'll tell you what the news is. So, according to Sports Witness via Sport, they're saying Mauricio Pochettino isn't keen on becoming the Manchester United manager this summer, and he's already turned down the club. He is waiting for the Real Madrid job. The fucking balls of this guy. You've won literally fuck all, and you're out here saying, no thank you to Manchester United. I'm going to sit tight and wait for the Real Madrid job. I know Rafa Benitez has had that chair, but he'd won a Champions League kind of flukily to actually put himself in the picture for it. Who the fuck do you think you are? Honestly. And then Mark had come out and said Real Madrid want to replace Carlo Ancelotti with Mauricio Pochettino at the end of the season. There has not been a bigger downgrade since we went from Sir Alex Ferguson to David fucking Moyes. How'd you go from Ancelotti to Pochettino and think that's a good idea? Jesus Christ. On Pochettino and Mitchell. So, obviously, Ralph was pictured yesterday at Old Trafford watching the Youth Cup quarter-final. We got through, by the way, in the semi-final now. And obviously, it was very intriguing, the fact that he's sitting there with Paul Mitchell. Paul Mitchell, Monaco sporting director. However, prior to his job at Monaco, he was the whole of the Red Bull Football Group, which is obviously where Ralph really made his name. He was the sort of sporting director for that, working alongside Ralph. So it's not like these two don't know each other and haven't worked together before. He could have been visiting family in the area, and Ralph, obviously being in charge at Old Trafford now, has just said, hey, should we go for a brew? and why don't you come and watch the game? That could be as innocent as it is, or it could be as much as everyone's, 2 + 2 might equals 4 in a lot of cases. But people are adding 2 + 2 and thinking it makes 77 at the minute. It could be as simple as the fact that he wanted to just hang out, and Ralph had this to do, and he was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll come and watch a game. As my job as sporting director of Monaco, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world for me to take a bit of a look at what's going on at United's under-18s. Due diligence, doing his job. So it's not necessarily a crazy idea to suggest that he might have been there, one, with the permission, and two, on the clock, if you like, for Monaco, looking at some United under-18s. So I don't necessarily think there's anything in it just yet. There's clearly a lot of transition going on at the club at the moment. I've done 2 videos at least that I can think of on Paul Mitchell and why I would like him at Manchester United and the job that he's done in the past, which I honestly think managers have got the credit for, certainly at Southampton and also at Tottenham and maybe even at Red Bull as well. I think he's probably the best in the world at his job. The fact that he's from Staley Bridge as well and rumoured to be a United fan, I think all adds up. I think on Football Manager they've got him listed as a City fan. I believe he's a United fan, so we shall see. The Athletic reported just a fortnight ago that United want to sign a deputy football director to support John Murtagh as director of football. It's possible that Mitchell could be coming in to fill in another role. It's possible that he could maybe come in and become head of recruitment, which is essentially what he's sensational at. Obviously, he worked at Southampton previously. He helped bring in Mane and Lovren. He was also with Pochettino when both left to join Tottenham in 2014. He had a bit of a mixed record at Spurs. He did out-sign Dele Alli, and apparently David Pleat had a bit of a hand in that too. They did move for Alderweireld, which was a success, but other deals for Njai and Janssen didn't exactly work out. Heung-min Son's probably the biggest win, as he's obviously still playing for Spurs at the moment as well. But apparently all isn't good with the relationship of Pochettino and Mitchell anyway. So prior to this news coming out this morning from Marca and from Sport, where Pochettino's all heading for Real Madrid, it seems like actually Mitchell and Pochettino aren't super best friends club anyway. And if United did hire Mitchell, it doesn't necessarily mean any sort of deal for Poch is incoming. It was left a little bit frayed, I think, after Mitchell walked out on Spurs in 2016, which actually coincided with them struggling to sign players for a minute. Reportedly was fed up of working with Daniel Levy. I wonder why. And the way that he conducted transfer deals, and The Guardian mentioned it back at the time with what Pochettino said, and he said, I'm disappointed with the decision. It's his personal choice. We have a relationship from Southampton. I'm very disappointed. When a person takes a personal decision, what can I do? So I'm not 100% sure they have the best relationship in the world anyway, but it is one of those where you go, okay, yeah, let's see how this goes. I got a super chat here off Zachary Purvis, and he says, get drunk and Uber. Did I see the Garnacho goal? Pants were off for that free kick. When I visit London and see my uncle anywhere World War II related, I should visit. I believe Churchill, even though Churchill's getting a bit of a kick in reputationally, and rightly so for some of the stuff that he said, but I believe Churchill's office is a good visit. I haven't visited myself. I've not been. The Bletchley Park's a good place to go visit and see about code breaking if you're into that kind of shit. Danny says, if true, having Mitchell as deputy, Rangnick as a consultant, might as well go play golf. That's what you want, though, innit? You want all the best minds sort of working for us. CTB says, for him to reject us, we might have offered him the job, which is slightly worrying. It is, yeah. You can't reject no offer, can you? You can only reject an offer that comes in. Do I think we have a chance to get Ten Hag? I think it looks increasingly likely, yeah, and especially with them bombing out of Europe, that might tip his hand a little bit. Ed T says, praying Pochettino goes to Real. But when I see Paul Mitchell and I hear all the rumours about Kane, I can't help but break into a cold sweat. United aren't going to pay 100 million for Kane. I know we're fucking stupid, but we're not that stupid. Samuel says, Steve, I had a fever dream that I wrapped Atletico players in tinfoil and completed an Easter egg that got us through in the Champions League. Hell is all that about? stop doing drugs and eating cheese. I think that's the only things that comes with that. Ashan says, is Mitchell still at Monaco? As of time of recording, he is, yeah. So, yeah. Norman says, we are totally stupid enough to splash 100 million on Kane. Maybe. Mankey says, Steve, would it affect Ten Hag's decision knowing he's second choice? He might not have been second choice. He might have, when Poch says he's already turned down the offer, that could have been years ago. That could have been yesterday. Like, we don't know, do it? Brian says, you must be ecstatic. Get Ten Hag and put Ralph upstairs where he can be more effective. Squad needs a massive clear out, though. It does. Tyler says, imagine the scenes United versus PSG final. Ralph beats Poch in his own backyard. Oosh. Alex says, if we get Mitchell, then surely he'll bring in Chumeme and maybe Hadara from Leipzig. Midfield sorted for next to nothing, and the offices will be upgraded. I think the back room has so much more of an impact than people think. Recruitment's huge. Huge. And I think having the right people with the right abilities in the mixer does it. Josh says, Steve, I don't really like transfer speculation, but thoughts on James Ward-Prowse as a Pogba replacement? Set piece and cross alone would improve us, high work rate and defensively. I like him, me. I said in the summer, he should have been starting for England, but they always go with what the bigger name is and not what the actual function of a player is, and they piss me off. David says, Steve, can we get another late night podcast on Ukraine and Russia conflict? Maybe. I'll see what the script is. Check this out. Just a bit of breaking news for you. I don't know if that's going to come up. It's not coming up, is it? How random's this? I've got a new assistant for tomorrow's game, and it's Fabrice Mwamba. That sounds like would I lie to you, doesn't it? For our penultimate home game of the season, I had former Bolton legend Fabrice Mwamba as my assistant manager in the dugout against Moston Brook in a Lancashire and Cheshire League. He's just texted me anyway saying he's there, he's having it. Pete, my usual assistant, is away for the weekend, so I just thought I'll see if I can get him down. And he's been helping out a little bit with the club, Fabrice, so I just said, yeah, do you know what? Do you fancy being my assistant on Saturday? And he said, yeah, I'll be there. What a lad. What an absolute lad. Space Chimp says Akanji will surely be our Bailey replacement. See, I didn't do the video, right? I might as well tell you all now. I think I mentioned this. I think I mentioned this a little bit back, where probably a week or so ago, and we were talking about the players that I would like to see at United. Now, I come up with a budget. The reason why you've seen me mention both like Kamara and Chumeme is I'm trying to fit it around a budget. Now, here's the budget that I put together. Outlay of 135 million, probably getting in approximately 50 million from sales. I'm trying to get rid of 10 United players. Those 10 United players, Pogba, Henderson, Ronaldo, Cavani, Lingard, Pereira, Tuanzebe, Van der Beek, Matic and Mata. And I will be promoting Hannibal, Garner, Mengi, Bernard, Laird, Williams, Elanga and McNeil. And I will be bringing in 5 transfers. And those transfers would be Selic at right back. Akanji was literally my fucking centre half. Kamara in on a free, and Kamara's in only ahead of Chumeme on the fact that he's free. Otherwise, I think Chumeme's a better player than him. Tillman for probably around 25-30. And then I actually think you can get Haaland because of his release fee, and if you're not getting him, you can get Jonathan David. That's 5 transfers for 135 million, or roughly what we paid for Maguire and Wan-Bissaka. Where do I send my CV? Alex Darlington says United should go for Nketiah in the summer, free from a rival, young talent to be a squad player. Those are pretty good decisions. Stuff like that. As long as you're not like, he's our star player and we're going to be flying with him and smash it. JJ says you should do a Football Manager save. I'm playing Football Manager for real with no budget, and that takes up all the time that I would want to be playing on Football Manager. I just don't have the time for it. Alex said, I prefer John David because that way you don't have to deal with Raiola. No. CTB says, Bay's injury prone, Varane injury prone, Akanji is currently injured. So what you're saying is, we're going to get him. Yash says, Benaker is good, but Chumeme is clear. Tom Lullis says, Selic, he's done nothing since Magnum PI. As I was getting ready this morning, right, and I was looking, I was like, mustache looks good, you know. Could I just rock a mustache? Proper Falklands era mustache. Could I do that, do you reckon? I might do it. The Reborn Juka says, so cringe, imagine having Poch rent-free in my head. He's not rent-free, is he? Let's be honest. The position of manager at Manchester United is a fucking hell of a position to hold, and I don't fucking want him having it. And I worry that they're going to give it him. It's like, let's say they were going to appoint Philip Schofield. You're like, fucking, why is Philip Schofield getting the United manager job? It's not rent-free, is it? I'm concerned. Ed T says, found Ronaldo Brown on Footy Manager 16, decided to make him an elite player as my new passion project. I think he's watching Ronaldo. Why would I get rid of Ronaldo? I don't know if you're going to have a choice. And I'd get rid of him so you can move on. Steve, a couple of transfer windows ago, you mentioned an English striker that United had bid 40 million for, but wouldn't say who at the time. Who was it? Remind me. Who was that? I can't remember who that was. Jazim says, I have diarrhea. It's not good. Diarrhea is never good. Eat a banana. You'll be fine. It wasn't Calvert-Lewin. No, it wasn't Watkins. Tammy Abraham. That's who it was. Correct. Yeah, it was Tammy Abraham. Ed T, no top four means no Ronaldo next season. Yeah, I think so. I think it's in his contract. Emmett says, stay how many green and gold do you think we've got left to go out? Probably around or just less than half, I would say. We've had Janine's been ill and we've struggled having someone being able to watch the baby, so she's the one who is posting them all. So when she can't come in, she's in once or twice a week. So we're trying to get as many out as we can, but it takes a long time. And we've only just got the numbers as well. So if you had a custom one, we've only just started on the numbers like yesterday or the day before. Walid says, thank God we didn't get him. I actually like Tammy Abraham, to be honest. Mossab says, stay. Don't you think we'd need more about this rejection before we get excited? Like you, I don't want Poch near United. Agreed. IR says, any update on Paddock ownership? Yes, it will be. It's going to happen, right? At the moment, I'm just finishing off our application for the next level. It's hefty. I've been up till midnight, 1 a.m. doing it. The ownership for Paddock will come in due course. It's coming with an app, so that's a little bit out of my hands. There's going to be an app which sort of is the central hub of everything that you guys need to know. Through the app, you'll get extra content. Through the app, you will get the opportunity to vote on club matters, and through the app, you'll get to put things forward for discussion at board meetings and things like that. And obviously, through that, we'll also vote on who you want as fan representatives and if you want a change in anyone on the board and things like that. JJ says, is McNeil actually first team potential? I want him to be from previous stats, but I've never watched him. I think he looks a little bit lightweight at the moment, but I think if he gets on the weights, yeah, I think he could definitely do it. He's definitely going to have to improve his physicality. What about Schick? Schick and Nunes, these guys are they're well worth looking at in depth, to be honest with you. UFC MMA says Schofield is living rent-free. Oh, isn't he in all of our heads? Steve, how about I go bald when we win the Champions League? I'll do it. Born Under Punches says, what reputable source? Sports Witness. Sports Witness is a hell of a reputable source, for one. I know it aggregates other stuff, but they generally tell you, yeah, this is a load of bollocks or this is legit. And it's also come from sport, as well as Sport Witness. Neil says, is McNeil a better player all-round in comparison to Greenwood when they were both in the youth? No, I think Mason was a better all-round player, and Mason's playmaking, which he doesn't do anymore, is completely underrated. McNeil is more in the Ruud van Nistelrooy kind of mould of just a fucking absolute goal-getter. Alex says, pick two, Tielemans, Neves, Kamara, Chumemi, Hadara, or buy one and play Ghana. Tillman Neves, I've been saying it for how long? Yash says Hugel and McNeil to Bayern Academy for a year. They'll be fine. About 10 kg heavier when they return. Yeah, it's just something about that Bavarian air, I think, innit? What's Haaland's release clause price? I believe it's somewhere in the region of a boot 60 mil. Alex Baggers says, I've heard the brew is going to be good today. He texted me while I was live saying we've got you a good guest. So maybe tune in and find out who that guest is. But Alex, you dickhead, can you text me and tell me who it is? And is it who you mentioned it will be last night? Steve, thoughts on pre-workout? Well, what pre-workout are you doing? Because if it's a line of Colombian Bam Bam, then yeah, you're probably going to have a good workout. Zinclo says our midfield future is in Ghana or Dylan Levitt, maybe both. I think yeah, all right, okay, here's who he said it was going to be last night. Fair play. Yeah, that's going to be interesting as fuck at 4 o'clock. Tune in for that. What do I think of Phillips and Neves for our midfield? Yeah, I'm not really digging it. Give me Tielemans or get the fuck out. KO says, Steve, I know you might not wish to talk about this given your background and stress and trauma related to that, but what's my take on the whole Russia-Ukraine crisis? If you go to my Instagram, I shown a fucking tank running over a car. It's a car driving one way down a freeway or a highway, and a tank coming down the other way, and the tank just turned and just drove over the car. And you're just thinking, this is the first time that we've had, like, in Europe, first world attacking another first world kind of country, and the footage that's coming out of it with the proliferation of smartphones is fucking mental, innit? Like I'm seeing captured Russian troops being like grilled on like Instagram. It's kind of mad. Like there's some real fucking harrowing scenes in there. Seeing cruise missiles just fucking blasting into civvy stuff. There was one that got to me. There's two that got to me a little bit yesterday. I put one on my Instagram and I retweeted one yesterday. One was the missile hit from a plane hitting the residential building, and they're filming it from next door. And having been on the receiving end of indirect fire of rockets, it's fucking terrifying. I don't know if they was next to any sort of military installation or if they've just fucking slammed them. And then obviously the guy saying goodbye to his daughter. I've done that, saying goodbye to my son before. And yeah, that got me a little bit. And, you know, all I want to say to them is just go fucking get them. Like, literally, like, if I could fucking speak to any of them, I would just say, just fucking go get them. Ukraine's drafted everyone from 18 to 65, that's male, and it's also said if you're a Ukrainian citizen, and you wish to fight, we will be giving weapons out, basically. What we saw in Iraq and Afghanistan when it becomes an insurgency, like the occupation invasions can happen like this. Occupation invasions happen in a heartbeat. Like Iraq was 3 weeks, something along those lines. You take out military defenses, you take out radar, you take out key installations, troops surrender, the country's yours, well done. You get a fucking goldfish, right? What happens then is it becomes an insurgency, and we took 20 years of fucking bleeding and dying. Now, if Ukraine manages to turn it into an insurgency, they're in the shit, because that's not going to go well for them, as we well know. Ed T says the Klitschko's I've heard they're going to be joining. Yeah, I saw that last night. I don't know if they did a press conference or they've just used photos from a press conference. Anthony says they're asking mothers and grandmothers to throw Molotov cocktails. I mean, you would, wouldn't you? If your country was attacked, you would. You absolutely would. Vitaly is the mayor of Kiev. Wasn't aware of that. Did not know that. DWM says that's Putin's plan anyway. He wants a frozen conflict. I could understand the Russian stance. Not necessarily saying I agree with it, but I can understand it. He doesn't want NATO on his border. And Russia didn't want the Soviets on their border with missiles during the Cuban Missile Crisis. So it's hypocritical from America to be like, well, what's fucking wrong with you? The problem is, Ukraine's a fucking democratically elected country. independent, and they can kind of fucking do what they want. So, oh dear. Someone's replied to my tweet that might have an insight saying, Poch turning down United is lies. Way to piss on my chips, Jake. Do I know about Man United and Aeroflot? I saw something from the Mirror last night saying that United are going to be severing ties with them on Aeroflot, which I think is a nationalised airline, I think, as well, so makes a lot of sense. Do I think there's any chance that Putin takes Ukraine and tries to take more of Europe? I would be surprised at that. Frank Lucas says Ukraine is not a democracy. I think you'll fucking find it is, my friend. Tyler says, if you go on TikTok, there's Ukrainians live capturing their towns being bombed. Yeah, it's awful. It's horrendous. Modern warfare, missiles, fucking tanks, bombs and stuff like that are just fucking so terrifying. I think there's been some firefights as well, but it seems to be a bit like what the invasion of Iraq was, where it's very high level, it's very airborne. But from what I can see, some of my instructors in training are going to be fucking wanking themselves into oblivion over the fact that, not the fact that helicopters are getting shot down, but on the fact that that's what they taught us. Going in helicopters, you're going to get fucking RPG to death, and it looks like they're hitting them with man pads and javelins and stuff like that. So there's a lot of stuff going down. Max K says, in reality, what does United spending millions of pounds on players matter when people are dying in Ukraine? Perspective's a motherfucker, innit? At the end of the day. None of us are going to have... I mean, here's the thing, right? You have to get on with it. You can acknowledge it's horrendous and be thankful that you're not fucking involved in it over there. But there isn't a day goes by. This time last week, it wasn't going off in Ukraine and Russia, but it was going off somewhere else. And no matter what fucking day it is, what's going on in Palestine's not fucking good. So whatever's hot topic at the moment, everyone gets sympathy and fucking outreach for, but this shit's going on constantly. The world is constantly fucking mulling other people. There's a coup going on right now in Kazakhstan. How many people know about that? No one, because it's not the fucking hot topic of the news. Yep, goes off all over the fucking place. Kieran, watching a war unfold on TikTok. Life has to be a simulation. Mad in it. Absolutely fucking mental. Anyway, I'm going to bounce. Preview is out later. Make sure to tune in for that. Subscribe if you're new around here. Probably going to be doing another late night where we probably get into the Ukraine-Russia thing with a little bit more depth on Sunday night. If you're in the area tomorrow, come down and watch us. 1 o'clock kickoff. It's free entry. And then get your ass over to Old Trafford as United spank Watford. I said Wolves then. But cheers for tuning in. I guess we'll find out if there's anything real or fake on that Poch stuff in due course. But fingers crossed it's a load of old arse, because I cannot be arsed with him as United manager. And I'll support him if he comes, but I don't fucking want him to come. In a bit.